Hey friends, Pastor Michael from Organic Church, here with Sydney Erickson, Don Reed, Beth Jarvis, Nick Offolter, and Pastor Roger Deerdorf.
All right.
What were you looking at me for?
I was going to ask you to kick it off.
We're on the air?
We are on.
Oh.
But
welcome, everybody.
yes, it feels weird. There's only
four of us.
Yes,
just 4 of us tonight.
Michael had another Elvis show, and Beth is
Under the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But,
So
And I've just returned from vacation.
Yeah.
I'm fat.
yes,
and she's just glowing. You know?
she is.
all that sun.
That Florida sun.
So she should be recharged.
Yeah.
Nice and recharged.
Yeah, she
I
does have a
am.
solar panel.
Oh. Well, last week, so I'm in charge of picking out our topics, and that sounds really important, but it's not.
Yes,
I
it
just
is.
grabbed from this wall.
Well, yeah, but you didn't do it.
I know, that's what I was going to say. I
Yes.
didn't do it. I think that's like my second time. I'm going to talk for 2 seconds and then grab one real quick for next time. But yeah, so we didn't have a topic for this week, so I texted
So I didn't
everyone.
get to prepare.
I know. I was surprised you didn't say something earlier, you know?
Well, I was on the beach with my toes
Yeah,
in the
that's
sand,
true.
and it didn't hit me
Yeah. When did you get back?
until Sunday night. Sunday afternoon.
Okay. Yeah.
Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, don't blame you then.
Yeah.
So Roger had the idea of
And he just texted waiting. And so we were all just waiting on an answer for the topic, not realizing that
yes,
That
Waiting
was the
is
topic.
the topic.
yes,
that was the topic.
because my initial text was like, well, since I dropped the ball again, does anyone have a idea?
Thoughts.
Roger says waiting,
Waiting for our thoughts.
waiting, or is that the topic? And that's what it is.
I'm a man of little words.
Yes. Why did you choose this topic?
Well, this week has been very taxing on me.
Mm-hmm.
I had an episode last week, and I was supposed to be getting a phone call Monday, and no phone call. So my wife called, and the lady that was supposed to take care of this stuff, well, she wasn't there Monday, so I had to wait. We had to wait until Tuesday. Tuesday come around, no phone call. So my wife calls me today. I mean, I wasn't really too worried about it, but I know the Lord's got it all in His hands.
Yeah.
So, she called me and she says, "Well, if they don't take a call, I'm just going to take and call someplace else. I'm going to call to Cleveland up to main campus. Just take it
easy. Yeah.
Yeah, just
a breath.
wait."
Yeah. Take a breath. Mm-hmm.
And about 10 minutes later, she calls me back. She says, "Well, your procedure's for the 23rd. I said, "What time?" "Well, they'll call me the day before." Okay. So that's a Monday.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So they won't call Sunday.
Right.
They won't call Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they call Friday.
Next Friday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Either that or I'll be.
You'll be calling them at 4:30
Yeah.
on Friday. Hello.
Yeah. What time?
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like we're always waiting on something.
Oh yeah.
No matter if it's a doctor to call you or a doctor's office to call you, or we're waiting in line to get gas. We're waiting in line at the grocery store.
And we might be waiting and we don't even know it.
Right.
Yeah.
Hurry up and wait.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
I just thought,
That's the topics. Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait.
That's the title.
okay.
I'll forget. Yeah. Sorry.
But we're always in a hurry, but we always have to wait.
Yep.
And we're waiting on the Lord.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I just thought it was a cool topic. I don't know. I just
what you were in.
Sometimes my brain, it does work once in a while, contrary to what Michael says.
Don't listen to him.
We could have told him we'd wait on him tonight, Like, hey, if you're going to be late, we'll wait.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Speaking of late, I was late for work today. I was watching the debates last night.
Oh, yeah.
And wife and I were talking about it afterwards, and we went to bed talking about it. So I didn't set my alarm.
Oh.
So you know how when you wake up and you just know something's not right,
Yeah.
something's wrong? Like
yeah.
you just know, like maybe you should be up already, even though there's really nothing to tell you that.
That is the worst feeling,
Yeah.
yes.
Like I just feel like, yeah, I've overslept. But I kind of just lay there think, well, maybe not. That alarm's going to go off any minute.
Yeah.
Next thing I hear is the front door slam shut, which I know is my stepson leaving for work
Oh.
at 6 a.m. So I'm like, elbow Margie and be like, what time is it? She's like, 6 a.m. I'm like, oh, no. So I just, text my boss, be like, hey, I didn't set my alarm.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be in as soon as I can. And I really didn't hurry. Like, I'm past that age in life where I'm not, like, diving out of bed.
Late's
trying to
late.
hurry.
You're
I'm
already late.
So,
Yeah.
just relax, take your time. So I get ready, do my normal thing, get in the car.
No
And
gas.
I'm just going to hit Macaulay Drive, and I realize I forgot my coffee at home. I make my coffee in the morning, forgot it. And I'm like, well, I can't start this day without that. Like all the way back home to get my coffee. And Margie was waiting for me at the door with it, like, you forgot your coffee. I'm like, yeah, I know. I was flying back. No, I think she called me and told me that. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm
on my way.
I'm on my way.
Making a U-turn. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Well, at least though, you didn't wake up and think, "Oh man, I'm late. Hurry up, get ready."
Mm-hmm.
And you get to work, and you think, "Well, why is nobody here yet?"
Yeah.
And you look at the time clock, and it says 5:15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quarter or
Not
5
good.
o'clock or 5:15. I did that like
Yeah.
3 times. Gee, many Christmas.
So, but I just thought, I'm like, well, okay. Apparently, for some reason, I'm not supposed to be there yet. Perhaps I'm not supposed to be on the road yet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something's going to happen
That's
up
right.
ahead that,
Mm-hmm.
God's watching out for me. For
Right.
some reason, I'm not supposed to be there yet. So I didn't get excited and thought, I'll get there when I get there. Everything will be okay. And everything was okay. But
They were waiting on you.
they were waiting on me.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just before I came here, I got to Wendy's. I thought I'll just run through Wendy's real quick, get something to eat, because Margie and the kids were going to go up to Costco, I think, and Sam's Club and do all this stuff. So she's like, just stop and get something
Mhm.
to eat.
Yeah.
Well, I waited in that line longer than I've ever waited in Wendy's,
Oh.
line.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost like a half hour. I'm like, well, I guess, for some reason, I'm supposed to wait. And of course, I'm thinking about this topic. Like,
You wanna
what's
know
this
why?
fitting?
You didn't have to haul tables and chairs with me and Roger just now. That's why.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lord.
Oh, no, it
Boy,
was
when
no
we're
big
waiting,
deal.
we're not very patient, or sometimes
Yeah.
not very patient.
Right.
See, I was going to bring that up, but I don't want to mention that word.
I know, right?
Patient.
Yes,
Yeah.
you should just.
So sometimes I think the Lord is making you wait.
Mm-hmm.
Will put you in a position to
See how you're going to
maybe
react.
not be in a certain place at a certain time, because maybe he has a reason why you shouldn't be there, or
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
sometimes you just got to tell yourself that when you're in one of those situations.
Right.
Like, look,
Yeah.
there's no sense in hurrying to work and then maybe something happening.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause You think
Risking it, yeah.
risking it. Just damage has already been done.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, I was happy for the extra hour of sleep. Didn't
Yeah.
hurt me any.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I ain't gonna lie, that was kind of nice. So yeah, there was my waiting
Yeah.
for the day.
Yeah.
My waiting was I keep pushing off things because I just don't have the time like I used to, especially because Cooper's been doing 20-minute, 30-minute naps. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Crunch time. How much can I get done?
How much
Half
can I get
hour.
done?
That is
Yeah.
how my kids.
Oh
nap.
man.
What do you
So right now I'm waiting for him to get out of that period that way. But I mean, so everything keeps getting pushed off. Well, I had to take my stepmom to a dentist appointment. So I'm like, okay, I know I can I had to call on my insurance. I had to call my health benefit, the insurance, the chiropractor, also the payroll people, like so many things. And I think 3 out of the 4 people I had to call, I'm going to be waiting about. Well, and one of them was like, I'm waiting for this letter, but they're also sending me, hey, this needs paid, but I'm waiting for the letter from the insurance. I'm like, okay, I just don't want them to send me to collections because I'm still waiting on the insurance. And they're like, no, we have it in here that we're also still waiting. I'm like, okay. So I'm just trying to cover all my bases. And so, yeah, definitely waiting probably about 3 out of the 4 of those from today.
Then they had that boring music on the wait.
Oh,
Yes. Such boring
It'd be
music.
different if they had something good to listen to.
Yeah.
You wouldn't mind waiting.
Well, in the chiropractor's office, it's so light, the music is, where I was like, did she hang up? But then you'll hear like, do-do-do. But then it's just so light that you can barely hear it. And then you'll hear, do-do-do. I'm like, okay. And so I give it a few more seconds and then I can still hear it. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm still
Imagine
waiting.
how boring it is for the people to make that music.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Like maybe you spent your whole life trying to be a professional musician. And they're like, you're going to be doing music for the doctor's office.
Great.
This is
Fantastic.
boring.
Yeah.
Or the elevator music.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know.
So, you never know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot, like you said, with a lot of times where you're like, well, maybe I'm stuck in this traffic because something's going on. Actually, today is 9/11.
I can't be so Christian-like when I get stuck in traffic.
Oh, yeah. Traffic is...
It's a whole other animal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, that's rough.
Yeah.
You just have to kick back, relax, and wait until the car in front of you moves. Then you move. You can't change it.
I
My
know.
wife gets I used to. Way more.
You can't change it.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Maybe it'll come with age, Nick.
I hope
it'll
so.
Come
Yeah.
with
That
age.
is that is a
Yeah,
killer.
you'll-
If I'm
you'll-
making
you'll-
great time on a
Relax.
trip and that, you see that line, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
no.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Especially those big cities like...
Yeah.
oh, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I was saying like with 9/11, I feel like you hear a lot of stories that are like, yeah, I was supposed to be in, that tower that day, but I woke up late or I called in sick. Like, I feel like you hear those stories a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or even the different planes that, had crashed. Like, I should have been on that. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is
The Lord takes care of it.
exactly.
You know,
hmm
Yes.
as long as we trust Him.
Mhm.
We just
Can you
have
believe
to,
it's been 23 years?
I know. I read
It
that.
doesn't. Do you know what you were doing on
Yes.
that day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So do I.
Etched
So
in
do
my
I.
mind.
I
Yeah.
do.
It was something so mundane. I was working at Carolina Stair Supply, shipping orders, and I remember the exact aisle I was in. I remember the exact item I was pulling off of the shelf to put on a pallet.
really.
And I was shipping an order for South Texas Molding out of Donna, Texas. And there were stair knolls, big oak knoll post. And the item number was 4442. They were 48 inches long. I remember everything about it.
Are you a numbers person?
No,
too?
I'm not a numbers
No.
person. But that was just so vivid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember, and it was right by the radio. And I remember the guy coming on and kind of like laughing, joking, like, hey, some idiot
yeah.
crashed into the World
Well,
Trade Center. And I think this was on Rock 107. And of course, on it went. And then we truly realized what was going on.
Yeah. Especially
Yeah, I
after the
remember
second
everything
one.
about that.
Yeah. Because a lot of people kind of had that reaction like, oh, yeah, some idiot did this. But then once the second one hit, they're like, okay, this was no accident.
Mhm.
Roger, where were you at?
I was welding on a bucket,
Yeah.
sitting had the garage door open. It was sunny,
Yeah.
and I was sitting there welding on a bucket when it happened.
What about you?
I had worked a 12-hour night shift, came home, got the kids ready for school, came back in from dropping the kids off at school, doing a few things around the house before I was going to go to bed.
Yeah.
The TV was playing. And so then the news came on, and I just sat down and watched, was glued to that all day,
Yeah.
and needed to go back to work that night. But it's like I couldn't pull myself away
Yeah. Yeah.
from what was happening. I sat and watched it all day. Yeah.
So you went to work again with no sleep?
Went to work that night with no sleep. Yep.
And you were, and the Lord still revived you.
He did.
He
He pulled me through. Yeah.
And where were you at, Sid?
Well,
You were
I was
probably
in
school.
I was in kindergarten.
Yeah,
kindergarten.
second grade.
Yeah. I think that might have been the only time my grandpa picked me up, but they lived, I don't know, 3 blocks away, and he came in.
Did he come and get you during? Did they let out of school?
They did. They let us, but they didn't like make everyone, come get them. But I think my dad was, and this was when my dad and mom were still together, but my mom was going through a lot of mental health issues. So I believe my dad was still at work. I think he might have been at Dover Tank and Plate at that time.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then
For our listeners, that's where I am.
and then my grandma.
By Dover Tank and Plate.
Yeah. And actually, my grandpa was working midnights at that time, so he probably had just gotten off, and he came and picked me up, and we just walked back home. And I just remember sitting, going from either the living room to the green room, because they had like 2 different. That whole house had. They had at one point they had a TV in their bathroom. I mean, they had TVs everywhere. So, but yeah, we were
the kitchen.
Yes, yes, but between the whole house, we were definitely just.
Now, how much of that do you think you understood at the time?
Oh, not a lot.
No.
Yeah, because I mean, I think I want to say maybe within like 40 minutes to an hour he had came and got me, but I don't think I realized what was going on until I came home.
You were
and
just like, yeah, we get to go home.
Yeah, and I think like when I finally, he might have actually said like sat me down. I don't think I waited until like I was home with my dad or anything, because my grandpa loves history, loves this country. So I do think it was him who, had told me. But Shy, she doesn't know. She doesn't remember.
Well, it's really interesting, like to hear Maggie. They talk about it as history.
As history.
She wasn't alive.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's very interesting now to be a part of history that somebody else wasn't. And
right.
hear them talk about it as if it's history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Be like you at the Civil War.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk about it like, we're watching that in school. And,
like 1867 or something, 68,
Yeah.
69, and guys sitting around talking about it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Even when I was in school, like some of us remembered and some of us, because I think at that age, some people remember and some people don't,
I think when I was in kindergarten is when the Challenger exploded.
Okay, and you remember it?
And I remember
like vivid
seeing it on the TV. I don't think it was at school, but I think I remember going home and watching it. But probably same as you, I didn't really understand it.
Yeah, and talking about
watching it in
right.
school. We were in high school.
Yeah.
And so we were watching that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, I was going to say something about that. Oh, that's right. Yeah, just growing up, like some people remembered and some people didn't. So if you didn't remember, you'd go home and ask your parents, like, do you, what were you doing that day? And everyone always remembered. So.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably the biggest, watershed moment since the Kennedy assassination, I would say, for people saying, hey, where were you? What were you doing? Most people do remember exactly where they were.
You know what's bizarre, though? With Trump, just the whole assassination thing, it just happened the attempt a few months ago. I couldn't tell you where do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
I was at Disney.
I was home on the couch watching a movie.
I think, and I truly think social media has a tie in that, because because
you don't,
the news, you don't digest it like we used to only on the TV. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know.
And some of us don't even watch the news on TV anymore.
Yeah.
I don't.
I haven't in a long time. I used to, but I haven't in
either.
a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, if it comes on, I either turn it or I just get up and leave the room. I mean, because I'm sorry, but 99%.
Oh, most of it, just ruin your day.
Oh yeah, so negative.
Get started.
Make you depressed.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how I think Michael kind of talked about that a few years ago, and it is depressing. And it's like, especially if you're going to start your day out like that. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
I used to like to watch the weather, but I don't even watch that anymore.
Yeah.
You can't change it, so.
Well,
50-50 chance anyway, what they tell us.
Yeah.
Best job in the world.
Yes.
It is.
Yes,
Never wrong.
truly.
You know,
Yeah.
yep.
It fit.
No consequences.
Mhm.
It didn't rain. Oh, well.
Right.
Guess we'll just have to wait and
Yeah,
see what
wait and
happens.
see. Yeah, we're still waiting.
See
on
if they were
rain.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if the wind blows today. The only thing that's a constant is that the sun will come up
Mm-hmm.
and the sun will go down.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Mhm.
Always. Except with, well, no, I was going to say the
No.
total eclipse, but it still came up and it
It-
still went down
Yep,
Yeah.
in one day.
twice.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You know, and I think when God has us in waiting, it's a test. It's what are we going to learn?
Oh yeah,
What are we learning while we're in waiting?
Yeah. If you're really reflective about it, you can learn a lot about yourself in that process. of
Mhm.
waiting. Unfortunately, sometimes we're not so good at that.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
I
because
think,
we-
I think
And I
if
think
we-
some people don't want to. If they don't want to learn
we don't like what
about
we don't
themselves.
like- we don't like what we see.
Mhm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And just speaking about news, waiting in itself, like we get everything so instantly now that we can't wait on anything.
No.
People used to have to wait 2 weeks or more sometimes to get news
Mm-hmm.
from one
Just
side of the country
crazy.
to the other,
Mm-hmm.
Or longer,
or long.
Or-
Yeah.
6
But
months.
now it's, like I said, we don't wait.
No,
in our
because-
society, you don't wait on anything.
Mm-mm.
Oh, no.
No.
because
Well,
we
yeah.
we can know what goes on over in Europe in the
Mhm.
next 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All we got to do is just look at our phone. Or,
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
right at our fingertips.
Yeah.
hmm
I liked
Yeah.
it before when there was no phones. You didn't have to
Mhm.
carry a phone around with you. If
I've been really doing good about no phone Sundays. I
That's a
just
good idea.
decide that I don't even take it to church.
Good.
I
Yeah.
leave it upstairs in the bedroom, and that's it.
Yep.
I've been really trying to do that.
Good.
Just even if just one day,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it on my hip.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing. If you can leave it somewhere, I think you can do a good job and not.
Oh,
be on
yes.
it. But if it's attached to your hip or wherever,
Yeah.
you're going to keep looking
you're
at it all
going to
day.
look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's there.
So that's what I've learned is put
Mhm.
it somewhere where maybe it's really an effort to get to. Like if it's all the way upstairs
Mhm.
or.
Did
you
you
know.
read or listen because you listen to audiobooks too, right?
Yeah.
Break Up With Your Phone.
No.
That is a like a key point in there.
Hmm.
It's like a challenge or something. But
Yeah.
I think Michael might still have my copy. It's a good read. But yeah.
He's never read it.
He tried to read it, but then his phone distracted him
Yeah.
probably.
Failed.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that's what I've because you can wait for most of the junk that's on there.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
You don't need it as much as you think you do. I use it all week at work. I'm always on it. People are always calling me. I always
Mhm.
have to communicate. And I've just decided I'm kind of tired of it.
Yeah.
Like it's just all the time. And
It's taxing.
sometimes people call me from work on the weekends or whatever. I'm like, I'm sorry. I got stuff to do.
Just-
Yeah.
Turn it off.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like I say, you can lose hours just,
Oh, yeah.
Just scrolling.
Mhm.
yeah.
Mindlessly.
Mindlessly.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Scrolling.
So as far as Sundays go, I think I've been doing pretty good.
Well, good.
Just
Proud of you.
So I'm going to try to keep it up.
Yeah.
Like I said, as long as you just put it somewhere where, I don't want to go all the way upstairs and grab it.
Yeah, right.
You
Just keep it on that charger
Yeah.
from the night before and yeah.
And I might, check it twice during the day just to see.
Just
if
well,
anybody's calling.
Right.
You never know. Somebody might have
Yeah.
sent you a message. It was important or
Mm-hmm.
something that you needed to know.
Yep.
But as far as answering it and that,
Mhm.
I think we ought to have that a church challenge.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I mentioned it to Maggie. I'm like, you
Mm-hmm.
need to start doing this. No. Was not received well.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't realize it yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully she and I believe she will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that church challenge.
Yeah, I can
Everybody-
definitely do without mine.
Everybody,
Oh, yeah.
everybody leave. Well,
'Cause-
like Michael says, half the time mine's either dead or
Mm-hmm.
where's it at?
Well, I turn mine off at night a lot of the time. So sometimes when I wake up in the mornings, I forget to turn it on. I've got it with me, but it's not turned on.
Yeah.
So I don't realize
Yeah.
Yeah,
until I go to my first patient's house and,
They're not
look, I
there.
got 3 calls, 2 messages, a voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get voicemails. I don't know how to set mine up. So
People waiting for that reply.
We're
From
waiting,
Dawn.
Roger.
Hey, I can't help it.
Well, listen, I was going to listen to the podcast while I was on vacation.
But you
Well,
couldn't
I always
get it.
just find it on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It's where I go. What wasn't there? I'm like, well, where's it at? So I sent Pastor Michael a message. Hey, I can't find the podcast. So he sends me a link. Well, it's for Apple. The link.
Oh,
was for
Apple
I don't have
Yes.
Apple.
Mhm.
I have,
Mm-hmm.
an Android. So I'm like, still can't listen to it. Still haven't listened to it. So I'm going to try to get to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get to it this week.
Yeah, and that whole ordeal, he was teaching last week, right?
Yeah.
So he left a few minutes early, and then I will normally go home and like just do the description thing and upload it on Facebook. Well, I was waiting because the SD card or something, I can't put it in my laptop. So he'll normally do that, and then actually before we leave, and then it's like, okay, it's good. So
Yeah, well,
then I'll just go home.
he had his
Yes, in there.
laptop in there.
Yeah.
So he had to do it after he was
Yes. And then
done. Yeah, it was just
whole ordeal.
yeah. So everybody just had to wait
Mm-hmm.
for last week's podcast.
Yeah. It's all right.
Well, listen, I tried to find the sermon too from Sunday.
I tried to find that too on Monday, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe was it last Sunday or this
This past Sunday.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
The
think
8th. I don't think it's still not on there.
When was
And I'm
it?
not tech savvy either, Pastor Rogers. So if it's not where I find it, I'm in trouble.
I'm sure we were all waiting for me to pick the topic.
I thought you were going to pick a topic.
No, I did. This is for next week.
That's
For
for
next
next
week.
week.
I meant from this point until last week we were
Oh
probably
yeah. Well,
what are we talking about?
We're still waiting for you to pick the topic for this week.
I have to say, though, I don't ever really worry about that. Like, I know, like,
And I do.
Yeah.
It
we can
stresses
pull
me.
whatever, just
Yeah.
pull a topic
Yep.
out, and we'll start talking about it.
Yeah.
I don't ever
Yeah.
worry. Like,
I did at first, but I felt like I was trying. I don't know.
You were trying too hard.
No, I was trying to I have this key point, but I need to throw it in. So then I wasn't as engaged in the topic, I guess.
Yeah.
Because my brain can't do too
Yes.
many things at once. Yeah. So.
Is that like Al Bundy? One in, one out.
Yes.
Well, you said we're an instant society. I
Yeah.
thought, what if we had to wait like Abraham and Sarah had to wait for 25
yeah.
years?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, that's a good one.
Or
Yeah.
Moses, 40 years
Yeah.
before. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then David, they said, what, approximately 15 years before he became king after Samuel
Yeah.
had.
Yeah. How many? Yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
That is a long time.
I don't think any of us today could wait
Mm-mm.
No.
Especially like
More
you said
than-
with
Yes.
how society is.
more than a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the waiting has the ability to mature somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
If you go through a lot of, that gives you patience and, focus and all those types of things. And now, I mean, like young people, I mean, it's sad to say, but they want top dollar for a bottom position,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
so they don't want to earn it. They want it now. And society is kind of curving in that direction to where, okay, we got to feel like we got to give people our top rate right now just to get them to
Mm-hmm.
come to work. Nobody wants to take the
Nobody
steps.
wants to start at the bottom and work their way up.
Yeah.
Right,
They don't
yeah.
want. They don't want to learn.
They don't want to be in the waiting. And yeah,
Yeah.
while
And they
they're
don't,
learning, they don't
so-
want to be in the waiting.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be critical.
Yeah.
No, but you're just being honest.
Well, and it's
but
not right.
but
Like,
it's just, I mean, young people are not going to mature. They're not going to develop good working skills.
mm-mm.
They're not going to improve their relations with the people that they work with and build relationships. It's just not going to happen. I mean, just because I think people would just, in this day and age, bounce around from job to job to job without really gaining any real experience, just because they're always chasing that top dollar, even though they don't have anything on their resume to
show for it.
Show for it.
Mhm. Yep.
It's just that, they think, well, I'm making top dollar over here at McDonald's. Well, now, Wendy's or so-and-so's offering another dollar, so I'll go over there. And,
Yep.
Some of them will go 50 cents.
I mean, when my first job, I worked at the IGA down there on Trenton Avenue, and I don't remember what minimum wage was then, but I know it wasn't much.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only working 15, 20 hours a week. But I took it seriously, and every job that they gave me, I did the best that I could do. And they made me go through every step of that business.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I went to being a frozen food manager right out of high school.
Yep.
Like, just because I had learned the business. I learned how it's really supposed to go, and they could trust me with that position at such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it wasn't that much of a raise
Right.
to go
Yeah.
from that point to
Yeah.
point. So it was still, it was a building process just to get to a point where I could get into a position where somebody would pay me good money to manage something.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of experience doing that,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to work my way through all that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just don't, I just have such a huge beef with, I remember when I was a kid and you'd walk into McDonald's, even in the evening, there were adult managers there.
Mm-hmm.
And now if you go into McDonald's, sometimes at any point in the day, there's no adult manager.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bunch of kids
Mm-hmm.
making top dollar.
Yeah.
And nobody's managing anything.
Mhm.
And
No.
it shows.
Mhm.
It
Oh,
just
yeah.
shows.
Oh, yeah.
And it shows right down to the dress code. I mean, I remember
Mhm.
The managers at McDonald's when I was a kid, they were dressed to a T. They had the slacks on, shirt, tie.
Mm-hmm.
The women had
The shirt was-
the nice bows and the blouse and the whole
Mhm.
deal. And now it's I don't know. It's a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no dress code really.
There's no casual Friday.
No.
No. It's always casual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
one time I saw this kid, he was behind the counter and he had headphones on, a leather jacket, leather gloves, a backpack.
What?
And I thought, does this kid work here? I'm like, well, maybe he's just back there hanging out. Maybe he knows somebody who works there. No, he worked there.
Yeah, but he was off.
Yeah. No, he was working.
He was working.
And I'm like,
He got called in and he said, I'm coming as I am.
As I am.
He was waiting to get called in. And I was like, yeah.
So there's just a lot to be said for structure.
Yes.
And
Yes.
to the waiting to be
That authority.
elevated to that
Mhm.
next position in life.
Yeah.
I think
Really
I,
working hard for it.
Yes.
It just
I think
isn't
all
there
the kids,
anymore.
all the kids now, they need. They don't. Well, they really don't have any structure at home.
Right.
And that's-
I agree.
Yes.
that's a
I
good-
agree.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
I mean, because both parents have to work,
Mm.
so,
Mhm.
and they think, well, I can just kind of do whatever I want to do,
Mhm.
and like when I was a kid, this is back in the Stone Age, that, I worked at not a gas station. It was a service
Service
station.
Station.
Yeah.
Mhm. Full service
Yeah.
Full
station.
service, and
Explain what that is, Roger, for the
Right,
kids.
because nobody knows.
I
what that
watched
is
Cars
nowadays.
the other day with Cooper, and I think I have a good idea.
a full service gas station.
Mhm.
When the car pulled in, the bell went ding, 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 ding.
Mhm.
You went out. Yes, ma'am. Can I help you? I'd like to have $5 worth of gas. That $5
That's not going to get you anywhere.
that $5 worth of gas got her almost a full tank of gas,
Mhm.
because at the time gas I think was like 69.9,
I was going to say, I wouldn't say it was like 65 cents when I started driving.
and so while the gas was being pumped, you either watched it, or especially if it fill up pretty easy, put it in, started, you washed all the windows, or at least the front one and the back one. Ask them if they wanted their oil checked. If they wanted the oil checked, I used to despise, well, will you check my
Tire
tires?
pressure.
So then after you got done, you can pull over here. The air was free. You didn't have to pay for it.
Right.
I would check their tires. They would give me their $5 or whatever, and I would go in, ring it up on the cash register. That went, you push the buttons, and then you push the big button, and it went ding, ding, and the drawer popped open. There was no computers. You had to learn how to count change.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes.
Kids today, and there's older people too.
Mhm.
That they love that cheat.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
They
we've got so reliant on our.
They don't use their brain.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest trouble with the whole society. Nobody really thinks anymore.
They just do.
They rely on their phone. You know, if I knew how to work my phone correctly, I could be the smartest man in the world. You know, just ask me anything and I'll tell you here in about 5 minutes. You know, but no common sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they just can't think.
Well, if it takes us 5 minutes, Roger, the kids have it done in
5 seconds.
one
Yeah.
second.
Yeah, and that's true. You know, because that's what they've grown up with.
Yes, absolutely.
Would you get
That's
tipped?
all they've ever known.
Did you get tipped for?
That's what I was
full
wondering.
service? Did you get tips?
Once in a while, it
Yeah,
depends on how nice you were.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
and did you
but
said it was
maybe it's-
65 cents when
When I
did
started
that
driving.
seem cheap to you guys at the time?
no, because
Well, no,
when-
because my
Well, and the
minimum
cost of
wage,
living
I
was-
was making $3.65 an hour.
you making that much,
That's what I started out at was
Gee,
$3.65.
man, you
Yep.
was rich.
Because everybody says, "Well,
But I was living at home.
You was really rich.
I was. Yes.
When I started at the gas station, you know how much? You know what I made? 90 cents an hour.
wow."
And then when
And-
there
and
was a
doing-
new
and-
owner, they bumped you up to $1,
And
right?
with the new owner, I got $1 an hour. I thought, man, hey,
So
this
did you
is
think,
cool.
"Wow, gas is high"?
Oh yeah, if
that?
it went up 2 cents, you know, people would say, oh man, this gas.
Yeah.
When's this going to
So
stop?
we're doing the same thing today.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, that's like I had to go to Strasbourg today. I got gas in Strasbourg for $2.99.
Yeah.
I got it yesterday in Carrollton for $2.99.
You know, 16 cents. But you know, 16 cents, it's not really a whole lot.
Right.
You know, but it makes you feel like you're
Right,
getting a bargain. You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, I haven't grocery shopped since before I went on vacation. And I had a patient say to me on Monday that they had went grocery shopping and that they always buy the case of eggs at Walmart, the 60 eggs. And she said it was like $18.
Jeez.
Like,
Yeah.
what? $18 for 60 eggs?
Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
we
Oh,
probably shouldn't even go down this road. That's yeah, it's not good. Not good.
You were saying with the cash register,
Yes.
and at South Philly Pizza, where my Aunt Tanya, she owns
They still
it.
have a cash register?
They do, and it's one that you can you can use it if you want, like the calculator part of it. But I just never did because I'm like, I'm gonna keep my brain smart. And I mean, they wouldn't know I was doing it, but I'm doing it to myself because how they would do the the not the payroll, but the cash register at night. Like they wouldn't be calculating all the receipts and stuff. Like it was just like
I had
the
to do
total sum.
when I
So
closed out. You know, you had gas, oil,
Mhm.
TBA, credit cards. And when you had a credit card, you just didn't swipe it over something or run it through.
you had to
You had to take it in, get a paper,
write it.
write the paper, write how
Mhm.
much it was, put it in the machine, run the credit card over the machine, bring it out, have them sign it, give them the top copy. Yeah, I mean, you know,
It was
right.
a process.
it was.
So then,
I used, especially if you were busy and people give you a credit card. Oh, geez, you got 6 cars out there and you're by yourself,
oh yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and you're trying to,
they're just gonna have to wait.
yeah, but you try and make everybody happy.
Yeah.
Right,
You're saying that in
right.
your head, but you're still going 100 miles an hour.
You're like, oh, for crying out loud.
And those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength.
Amen.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was. I mean, you know, you met a lot of interesting people.
Oh yeah.
You know, especially because it was down by, it was where the Speedway is now, on down by Walmart.
Oh okay. Yeah.
But it was a Shell gas station.
Oh yeah. You did say that.
But you know, you were close to the interstate.
Yep.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you met some real characters.
Oh, I
too.
bet.
Especially work nights. You know, and that
Yeah.
and you could always tell on Fridays
Mhm.
because The southbound traffic was real heavy. You know why?
So if they're going south. No.
Because a lot of the men or people from West Virginia
Yeah.
worked in Cleveland.
Oh.
So they would go home for the weekend.
Wow.
And then on Sunday on Sunday nights,
Mm-hmm.
the traffic was always heavy going north
Mm-hmm. Because they were going back
they were
up.
going back so they could go to work.
Huh.
Little tidbit there. for you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you stop and think about it, it's just the way it was back then.
Yeah.
People traveled to work.
Mm-hmm.
Down there was really nothing for them. So they went to Cleveland. They worked in basically all the car shops. The like Ford and
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
Chrysler and,
So maybe not even clear up to Cleveland because there were a couple in Akron too.
yeah, well,
yeah.
But they were just
Yeah.
they would go north for work.
Huh. I heard.
Now we don't want to walk across the street to go to a job.
Nope. West Virginia is. What did they consider them? The least hardworking, I think. The least hardworking state out of all 50, apparently. And we are. So they're 50, and apparently Ohio's 42. So we're not much better. But.
Like Nick said, everybody wants like well
Maybe just people from West Virginia are still somewhat self-sufficient. They don't need to work.
that's
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
But I think it's going to end up we're going to make full circle and we're going to go back to that. Like
We better learn.
That's
how
what
to
Michael
be
said. Yeah, Michael said
Because,
that. Hmm I think
because
so too.
people know that okay, all the chemicals and stuff that they put in the food anymore to preserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm Well,
And the meat,
mhm.
and I mean, they we're probably some of the meat that we're getting coming from China,
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, we don't know.
No.
we have
have
no
no
idea.
idea.
We have no idea.
Mm-mm.
But if you get, like the homesteaders,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
they, they're growing their own meat. They're growing their own produce.
Hmm
They may buy a few things.
Yeah,
I mean,
but they're probably gonna buy it off of their neighbor anyway, and
if
they're
their
gonna know
neighbor's
where it's
got-
coming from.
or
Yeah.
barter for it.
Right.
2 dozen eggs for a quart of milk.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Unpasteurized milk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they're probably taking the cream off, making their butter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people think I'm crazy, but
No.
I think that's the way we all should think that way.
Well, not only, and a lot of people think it's more expensive, and it might be sometimes, but I just started making Cooper's baby food.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't believe how much cheaper.
Oh yeah,
And I know one can's only what, $1 or something. However, I just made 6 cans from a full bundle of bananas.
for $1.
Yeah, for however much that bundle was. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I know what's in it.
Right.
I mean, I didn't grow the bananas, but I mean,
Yeah.
You're just paying for the convenience and the advertising.
yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's like everybody says, well, because we usually get a quarter or half a beef
Mhm.
every year.
That's smart.
This year we probably won't need any, but yeah, it's a lot of money initially.
Mm-hmm.
I think last year it was like with buying the beef and the process.
Yeah.
It was like $3 and something a pound.
A pound.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's almost 100% Hamburg.
Yeah. You know where it's coming from. Supporting local.
Local.
Mm-hmm.
T-bone steaks,
Mm-hmm.
roasts.
Oh, yeah.
Have you priced a roast?
Oh,
Yeah.
12, 15, 18,
Mhm.
$22.
It's
Yeah, and
crazy.
they're like,
Yeah. They're
Right.
tiny.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I keep
And it's good meat
Yeah.
too. It is.
I keep telling people, and I know the guy that grows,
Right,
that raises them.
Yep.
And he doesn't give them any kind of steroids
No.
or
Mhm.
anything like that,
Yep.
But
We normally get one with Chase's stepdad.
Yeah.
Then,
But I mean,
Same thing.
it's so much better. It's so much better meat.
well, just the thing with Sam's Club or Costco or even couponing. Like yes, it's more money up front. However,
you figure it out.
yeah,
Per
yes,
per unit,
mm-hmm.
and you're saving some, not a whole lot, but you are saving some.
Mm-hmm.
But you figure you got your gas going up there.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Or are you really saving?
Right. But even with the couponing, I'll probably spend, I think my amount is normally like $120 before any coupons come off or sales. But then normally I spend about $30 to $40 after all that stuff comes down. So, and I do it like once a month, but I always have stuff like we're never running out of toilet paper, we're never running out of paper towels, or if we're getting low, I'm like, oh darn, I gotta go couponing, but it's fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. If
it's just a change of pace, I think.
Enjoy doing that.
Yeah, like people, same with buying bulk or so waiting.
We're waiting on what? We're waiting on Nick and
We're waiting on the good Lord to come back.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's
yeah,
all.
that's true.
Indeed.
Solve all these problems.
Indeed.
Yes.
Well, I know the church that I went to before here, there was an elderly couple in the church, and she would always tell a story that, when she'd met her husband, they'd only known each other for like a week, and then he proposed and they were married within that very first week. And by that time, they had been together 60 plus years or more. But he would go to church with her, but he was an alcoholic. And he wasn't saved, even though he went to church.
Right.
Yeah.
And so she waited like 60 years of their marriage before he finally accepted Christ.
Wow.
Where
That's
many
crazy.
others would
Yes,
have
but
been
he was there. He was there to support her,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Yes. Yeah.
That says a lot,
And-
I
Yeah.
think.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That lifetime.
Mhm.
She had a lifetime of waiting
Yeah.
and praying for him
Mm-hmm.
to be saved.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's some endurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
That's some patience too.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much so, because I wasn't that patient,
Yeah. Well,
and
no.
I couldn't.
I mean,
I
Yeah.
couldn't do it.
sometimes you got to do what's best for yourself, though.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't be out to save everybody, unfortunately.
No.
But you can't save those that don't want to be saved.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what I was
That is
thinking.
exactly
Yep.
Right.
I mean-
that is their choice, their
Yep.
decision.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure you were waiting for a while, hoping something would
did. Yeah.
change.
Oh, yes. 20
Mhm.
years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Until you were like, you know what? It's not going
No,
to.
it's not happening.
not.
Yeah.
But maybe in her situation, that perhaps was the only thing that she had hoped to, would
Well, yes.
improve their
Mhm.
marriage or their relationship. Or,
Yes.
maybe it was good other than the fact that
I think
you just
so.
didn't get
Mhm.
saved.
Right.
Where,
Exactly.
sometimes in other
Mhm.
situations, it just goes well beyond that.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes the
Yeah.
ship is sinking and,
Exactly.
Yeah.
you're all going down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to abandon ship.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
You're not just going to wait for it to sink. You already know
Yeah.
it's sinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's unfortunate. But,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That was a good spin-off
Yeah.
from what we were. I mean,
Yes.
it's very relevant, though.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to. I think you do have to know when you've exhausted your.
when you've
your
waited
time.
too long.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you
I
do
do too.
need
Yes.
to know when. Okay,
Got to feel the
I've been
water.
praying about this. I've been
Mhm.
waiting for this, but for some
Right.
reason, this just is not going to come to pass.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if I'm going to fulfill my mission
Mm-hmm.
with Christ, if I'm going to fulfill what I feel I need
Right.
to do
Yes.
Yeah.
to have a closer relationship with Him, then at some point you do have to say, okay, I've waited on this particular thing long enough. Perhaps I should be focusing on something else and putting my patience and endurance and time
Into
into that
something else.
instead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
Do you think that's why a lot of people go from church to church because they're searching for the right thing,
well, I think it's.
or they're?
I think it goes.
they're-
Maybe it goes back to I was telling you guys about having those conversations with somebody at work and
Yeah.
and think, I just got to get. Which, by the way, he went to church this Sunday, so
Well, good.
Oh,
that was awesome. But I think some people get too wrapped up in the idea of going to church as opposed to the idea of
Being saved.
having
being
the
saved
relationship.
and having the relationship
Mhm.
with Christ.
Yes.
Because you can church hop all you want to,
Mhm.
but if you don't have that relationship with him, what
Good's it going to
I mean,
do?
what good is church going to do you without that relationship? In my opinion, I mean,
Yeah.
you can
Right.
meet some people and have some fellowship and things like that, but I kind of feel like you're still going to be empty.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
you know,
yeah.
Mhm.
Pastor Michael says you're just checking off that box.
Yep.
Yeah,
Went to
and
church
and I'm
today.
not saying
Mhm.
maybe people do find the right church that opens all those doors for them.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would ever give somebody that advice. We'll just keep hopping around till you.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
Like I said,
Yeah.
don't wait for that moment. Start right now. Start
Right.
with him
Right.
Mhm.
and his relationship, and you'll find the right church. You know when you come
Mhm.
across it. But
Mhm.
still, I mean, you still have to be, you have to still be one with Christ in the beginning. You can't wait till
Right.
everything lines up.
Yeah. Because it's never going to line
whatever
up.
Yeah.
to whatever
No.
idiot is you have in your head that is
Mhm.
supposed to complete that vision for you. It's just like, no, that's not.
Well, and even when we have a vision of our life when we are in church, it's 99.9% never what God had intended
Right.
for us anyway, let alone, whenever we're not in church. And yeah. So,
Because you're going to have plenty of disappointments.
Oh, yeah.
You're just going to have so many disappointments in life and so many things that you waited on that you never got. And you have to, I don't think you can go to church or pick a church and say, well, this one's going to make it all better.
make it all better.
Make it all better.
Mhm.
I think it's just sometimes you have to accept the fact that, okay, this did not
Mhm.
work out.
This is a bump in the road.
Whatever I
Yeah.
thought I was waiting on, well,
Yeah.
perhaps God had a different plan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
And you just got to,
Roll with the punches.
wave the white flag on that idea and
Yeah.
pick up another flag
Yeah.
and try something else. And speaking of waiting, they finally announced the date of the
Gettysburg?
Guide test, which will be
Yeah.
December 7th.
Okay.
Oh.
That's my anniversary.
Isn't that
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor
Pearl
Day?
Harbor Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know why I picked that date?
To remember it.
That's when the war started.
Does she listen?
Need a sound bite here.
Hold on.
Just don't stop the tape.
Wait.
No, I tell her that.
Everything's still recording. I've got a red button.
Yeah.
We're good. A red light.
So I've been doing an awful lot of waiting, and though they announced that they were going to give the test, but there was no formal announcements, and so they gave the formal. Let's see, they gave the hint that they were going to give the test in February, March, and let's see, I think late July, early August. They're like, okay, here's when registration's going to start. And it started.
I have to ask, what was the hint? Like, would we have known? Us
if you
non-Gettysburg?
wanted to, but I don't think if you were looking for it, no. I don't think,
Okay.
unless you followed like the National Park Service or something, and maybe you would know.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe if you followed it on your Facebook. or something, you might
I do
see it.
follow some national parks, but I don't know about the Gettysburg one.
Yeah. So that's a great question. But I would think you'd kind of have to be on the lookout.
Mhm.
You'd have to be in the know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
that.
You'd have to be in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So,
have to be in the clique.
so they announced the registration. It was a 2-week. They gave you a 2-week window to register.
You already registered,
So
didn't you?
yeah,
All
so
right. I figured.
registered. I don't mind telling you, it's $250 to take the test, and it never used to be that much. But I guess they're doing this to discourage
Oh.
people who really don't know that much about it, or not
Okay.
that serious. So
Mhm.
they want people who are just really serious about taking the test.
Well, yeah.
So if you fail and take it again, you'll have to pay that again. I'm not saying you're
Oh,
going to
yeah.
fail. I don't think you will.
Because this is tier 1
Uh-huh.
of tier 5.
Oh.
Yeah. See,
So if you fail any one of those tiers, you have to start all the way back over again and pay for the test
Yeah.
again. So yeah, this is no,
is it now? Is that 250? Is that for all of these, or is that just
it's for all
this?
of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not too bad.
Right.
Yeah.
You
So that
you
ain't
break
too
it
bad.
down, it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not too. That's 50.
But
piece.
but it's kind of like a lot of pressure. Like, wow, I
Yeah.
invested some money in this.
That's my sister, actually my friend as well. She just, sorry to cut you off. My friend did her nurse practitioner and license, or I think license, right?
Yes.
She passed, but same thing with my sister as a teacher. If you take this test and you fail, and it's about $200 to $300 for each of them, I think. But if you fail, you got to take it again. So they're like, "Am I
And you have
prepared?"
to wait.
Yeah, you got to
Take it
wait.
again.
But they're like, sure, I don't know if I'm prepared enough, So
Yeah.
it's like, then
You always
feel
you're
that
out
way.
money if you do fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Because there's some days where I think,
Mhm.
I'll pass it. And there's other days like, there's no way I'm going to pass this.
Especially with 5 tiers. Now, so is one of those tiers like
Well, honestly, though, I think if I pass the written part,
you'll be good?
I think I'll be good.
Hmm.
Because the rest of it has a lot to do. Like one of the tiers is just an interview process.
Oh, okay.
Because they want to weed out people that maybe just shouldn't be around other people.
right.
Or
Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Just,
Mhm.
so they're looking for personality. They're
Mhm.
looking for people, who you would want to put into a vehicle with somebody that would drive somebody else's vehicle and
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
have a bad situation. So they're just trying to, find people with good communication skills. And then like tier 3 is then you go through a whole, I think they match you up with existing guys who you can practice and stuff like that. And if you go through all those little courses and classes, then eventually you go on to the final tier, which is giving a tour to the superintendent of the park, which, that's pretty
Yeah, I was gonna
nerve-wracking.
say.
Yeah.
I feel like from what I've heard, like they do it, they want you to pass
That's good.
because they
Right.
need guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you make it that far, they're going to do everything they can to make sure you
yeah.
pass.
Especially if you made
So,
it that far.
I think as long as you are willing to learn
Mm-hmm.
and willing to work with somebody,
Yeah.
I think you can trust well.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
That's
it's just
good.
that first written part that's,
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's neat.
I guess,
Yeah.
very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Just trust that the Lord's going to
Yeah.
be right here on your pencil. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's just the way I'm trying to look at it is,
Mhm.
okay, I've waited all this time to take this test. They haven't given it in 7 years, and it's something I really want to do. But if it comes down to it, and for whatever reason I don't pass it, I really do have to be like, okay, this is not my time.
Yeah.
right.
And I know plenty of guides who have failed it and had to go do it all over again, and now they're really well known
Mm-hmm.
and, have a great sub career doing that.
Yeah.
So I just have to keep in mind that, it is in God's hands. I can study all I want to,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't just throw it all up too. You do have to prepare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But at some point, you do just have to trust in the Lord and just say, okay,
I've done
this is
all I
my
can
time.
do.
I've done everything I need to
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
The rest is in God's hands.
Yep.
So I'm really trying to take that view that, okay, if in December, if I get that letter a couple weeks later, I didn't pass it. And it's really not a pass or fail as much as it's a ranking system
Oh.
because they may take like 40 people
Mm-hmm.
based on the highest scores.
Hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, you
Gotcha.
could score 94% and
Wow.
not get moved on.
Boy,
Yeah,
that stinks.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Right.
Man.
So it's not
Wow.
even pass
I'd be
fail.
happy if I had that.
Yeah.
It's a ranking system, and they are looking for other things because they give you essays at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like one half of the test is all essay questions, and you have to handwrite them out. And your handwriting has to be neat, and you have to be concise.
Well, that leaves me out.
And that's going to be a problem for me. Because,
Really?
Yeah, my hand gets tired, and I don't write so well all the time. So I'm really going to have to concentrate.
Well,
on
and when
writing
you're
part of it.
timed,
Yeah,
like,
'cause you're under pressure.
yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be challenging, but I'm looking forward to it. Just the experience of doing it.
Yeah, we'll keep you in
And I
prayer.
guess the worst case scenario, I take the test. If I fail it, I'm like, okay, well, now I know what the test is about.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
What to expect.
Yes.
there are no
yes.
practice tests,
Yeah.
so you have no idea what to expect. You have no idea what's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Just so it's the only way you're going to know.
Yeah.
Hey, it'll be all
Take-
good.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, just waiting on that. And
Yep. Yeah.
I think I said to one of them, I said, I feel like one of these Olympic runners, like, studying. It's like, I don't want to burn myself out
Mhm.
by just like studying too hard.
Too hard and
I just
crunching
want to keep a
everything
nice
in.
pace.
Yeah.
Kind of sharpen the blades up, just make sure I'm kind of covering everything and just kind of keep everything in my head. I don't want to, I want to burn myself out before I get,
Yeah. Because you definitely could with
yeah.
Oh,
Gettysburg,
It's
I
just
think.
so, even,
So much information. Yeah.
And even though I love it so much,
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, it's just a lot. And sometimes you got to just be like, okay, I got to
Yeah.
back up,
Take a step back.
take a breather,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know? So when you're in one of those situations where now it's like, okay, now you just got to wait 3 months for them to give the test.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's-
So
You've
Freshen
waited
up
for
every now
7
and
years.
then.
3 months ought to be a
yeah, right,
Yeah.
So
So they haven't done one since before COVID, right?
they did, right. They did one before COVID and
Okay.
then that hit, and then they suspended the test because they had no idea how many guys were going to come back from that, how many would retire,
Yeah.
all those things. So they've been kind of waiting to see how everything was going to play out. I think wait till they really thought they needed.
Do they give you a number on how many they need or how many they're looking for?
I mean,
Or can you-
the fact that they haven't given it in 7 years, they think they're going to have the highest turnout ever. So they're thinking they may have 250 people at least to take it.
Wow.
So it's going to be a lot of people.
Wow.
They don't tell you how many they're looking for, although
Yeah.
it does sound like they're looking for quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've heard they may pick like 40 people out of those
Okay.
200 odd something people.
Hmm.
So it's, who knows?
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's good. We're glad.
But they do know. I mean, but I've heard like 200 people will take it. By the last tier, you may have maybe 20 people who get to the last stage, and out of those 20, maybe 10 will become guides. So when you start with that high number and then you get down to the end, it's like, yeah, you gotta want it.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta want
Yeah.
it, or you're not gonna make it. Or
Yeah.
there's just going to be one of those tiers where you're not suited for, whether it's your personality or,
Mhm.
you could be a bookworm and know everything about it, but you can't talk to people. You
Right,
can't tell
yeah,
the story.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're not good with manners or
Mhm.
any of those things can fit. If you're a bad driver,
I was going to say, if you drive them off the cliff or
yeah.
something.
I know there's guys I know very well that they're like, yep, first time I went through a stop sign, I was just so excited and telling I
Yeah.
went right through the stop sign, instant fail.
yeah.
Because, you're going to have a family in the car with you. and-
Oh, so you'll be talking as you're
driving.
driving. Oh, that is nerve wracking.
Yeah. So
Because they're
it's
not
all
only
those things.
like quizzing you at that point on the driving, but they're also still quizzing you on
Yeah.
your knowledge and your personality traits. Like, eesh, yeah.
Yeah, they
Would
said
they-
they had this one guy. He said this was before they would do the interview thing. He said they all got in the car and you started heading out towards the tour. They got in the middle of town. They're sitting there at a red light, and they're sitting there, and all of a sudden the guy's like, "Is this light ever going to change?" And the guy's like, "Okay, we can head back now. We're good." So just something like that.
Mhm.
Right.
If you,
Yep.
just like we were saying,
Your
waiting in
attitude.
traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Mhm.
gotta learn to wait.
Yeah.
Or you could flunk the whole thing.
Well, and
So
Chase has watched this video. It comes up on Facebook a lot of the times, but it's like if say we both started at Macaulay Drive's light and we both got off at like the south side or something. Like realistically, if you're going the speed limit and I'm going 10 over, I think we end up still getting off the exit within like 20, 30 seconds of one another. And it happens all the time. People will be on my butt and then there they are. They're right
Yeah, they
behind,
can-
I'm like, hey,
They come flying by you, and then they get off the exit, and you're getting off the exit, and
Yep.
you're right behind.
Still
them
the same
because
time.
Where did you
They
get?
have to wait for
Right.
Yep.
the traffic,
Exactly.
Or the
Yep.
light or
Yep.
stop.
Oh yeah, I
sign.
love those people.
mhm.
I see them flying and traffic is stalled up ahead, and then they slam on the brakes. And you see them sitting there. You're like, okay, now what are you gonna do?
Mhm. I can't stand those people.
Yeah, you're like, now what are you gonna do?
You're
bud?
sitting at Macaulay Drive going into town and that lane ends.
Ends.
Yeah.
And people,
Yeah.
oh, that drives me insane.
I always forget which one I'm supposed to be in. So I'm
Not
one of
me.
those. I'm one of those people that drive you insane.
No, people do it on purpose.
They do.
90%, 95%
Well,
know what they're doing.
They're in a hurry. They
Mhm.
can't wait
Mm-hmm.
2 seconds
Nope.
to. Yeah,
I know.
Oh yeah.
we need to wait a lot more.
Mhm.
I think we just need to take it out and put a roundabout in.
Oh,
Right there.
Let- take a trip out to Leesville.
Oh, I know.
They got a roundabout.
Mhm. They do. I think that is the most bizarre thing in the world.
Right?
That's about
Yeah.
that's about the dumbest thing in that little town.
It
I mean,
is.
I Why in the world did they put it in?
I know. It's kind of been
But
there
the-
for a while, too.
It's been there.
Well, it's been there.
Has it?
I mean, ever since I started
Really?
driving.
Oh yeah, it's been there for
Year-
probably ever since Leesville was established.
Really?
I'm sure. It
Yeah,
was,
because that's
Uh-huh.
that was
Huh.
Town Square. I mean, was
Yeah.
it?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
that's probably where the hanging tree was at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that way everybody could just be around it.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty morbid, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But you never know. It could be possible.
Right.
If you're driving, Martin's in trouble.
Yep. There's Martin.
Look away, kids. Look away.
Man.
Don't look, Ethel.
I was thinking, I always used to, Dairy Queen is another one that I used to hate waiting
Yeah,
at.
still like it.
However,
still
it
like
still
that.
is.
Yeah.
But my life has changed to now when I used to. So it was during COVID when I was working at the pizza shop. It hasn't been the only time, but the one certain instance, what I'm thinking, we had, I don't know, like a 10-minute wait. And I'm like, hey, I'll be right out with your pizza because they couldn't come into the area. So we would just take it out to them. And I'm like, I'm so sorry for your wait. I gave her the pizza. And she's like, no, it gave me a break because she's just running all the time, like between picking kids up and dropping kids off. And, you know, you're at home and you're like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to. And today I was, I went and got Zara a pup cup at Dairy Queen, but I kind of wanted ice cream myself. But I'm like, well, I'll just blame it on, you know.
Oh yeah.
I got to get something for Zara. And I'm sitting there and it's,
dog.
I think maybe 15 minutes. I was thinking, I'm like, if that would have been a year ago, I would have been so mad. Like, hurry up. What's going on? But like I told you when I got here today, I was like running nonstop today. And that was like my only time to like just relax, you know, and you'll get to it when you get to it. You really didn't have to stop for ice cream.
See there?
Yep.
You've matured, Sid.
Not fully, but
We're all a work in progress
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
Still.
Well, and the thing is, the Lord is always willing to wait with you,
oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
you know, which is good. You know, you need a companion in the waiting,
Most of the time
and He's always willing to wait.
most of the time he wants you to be in the
Yeah,
waiting. That way
you
you
need
have
that.
more time with him
Yeah.
and more one-on-one time,
Yeah.
you know.
Maybe He's trying to tell you, hey, you've been going way too fast. We haven't been spending any
Not-
time together.
Yep.
Slow down.
Now here we
Slow
go.
down.
Now-
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's like when people get hurt physically. I
I was
really
just going to
think.
say,
Yeah.
he'll put you on your
That's-
back.
Yep.
Yes, he will.
Like if you're not listening,
back.
here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I truly
Yes.
think that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He'll make a way for it,
Oh yeah.
or shut the way down.
Yes.
So, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. But it's a hard thing. It is a hard thing in life.
It is.
Mhm.
It definitely comes with maturity.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, sometimes even then it's, you know,
Well, because the whole world's moving way too fast.
yeah, it is.
Mhm.
It just gets faster all the
I mean,
time. And I'm sure,
like,
you know,
with all the social.
your
social-
grandpa probably said it, you know, now we're saying it.
Yeah.
You know, life's,
I truly don't
Stuff
even
is
know
too
how
fast now.
how much faster we can go with
how much faster can you go?
flying off.
Right.
Like,
Well, for a while
seriously.
there, the kids were all into that, what is it? VTech.
The
Where they put the
virtual,
gog-
the
yeah.
VR,
Oh, yes.
VR.
So they put the goggles on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the silliest thing I've ever seen. Like my stepkids will be in the dining room and they're waving their hands and standing down. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
What are you
What are
doing?
you doing?
Yep.
But it's like in that world, it's like, okay, now you don't, you know, I'm sure someday you'll be able to go to Gettysburg on them goggles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the
Oh,
only
yeah.
I
way
wonder
people will actually go
Right.
anywhere. It's
Yeah,
like, well, instead
yeah.
of actually going to see the bridge in San Francisco, well, I'll just put it on my VTech and
Mhm.
experience it that way. And
I think you
Never
can
go
do
anywhere.
that. I think you can.
so,
Get those goggles on one night and see if you can
yeah,
do
I've
that.
never actually done it. It's just, to me, it's just like, you look ridiculous. You know? And they're running into stuff. You know?
Yeah.
It's, at least for my stepkids, it seems like that's kind of died down. They're not even doing it now. So I don't
Yeah.
know something about it.
Well,
they don't even like. I don't
Something
know.
new, you know.
Mhm.
So
I mean, they're doing everything else that they've always been doing, but that
But not
seems to
that.
have like maybe taken a little.
Yeah, now that you say that, because my cousin's son, he had a set, and I think he still does, or a pair. I don't know what you call it, but I see him every now and then, but I don't ever really see him with them on anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And I think it's the same thing with the AI.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to have any true artists
No.
anymore.
No.
Because think about how long artists have to wait. Used to be to finish a sketch, finish a painting, finish a great work of art.
Mm-hmm.
And now with AI, you just think it.
Yeah.
And there it is.
Yep.
The work's already done for
Within
you.
10 seconds.
What's there's going to be no art.
No skill.
There's going to be no skill to it.
Well, Alyssa said, I was listening to their podcast, Tied Together. I plugged their podcast. And I think
There's no
Michael,
royalties in it.
No. And I think Michael might have said it on here, but imagine the, basketball stars who don't pick up a basketball because they're just glued to that phone, or they're, well, hey, AI will do this for me, you know?
Right. That's what I said, give me 5 minutes, I can be the smartest man in the world.
Yeah.
And
that AI thing is just so scary because I'll give them credit. I mean, it looks real. I mean, if they do an AI photo of whoever, it's like, I believe it. That's them. And it's really not a photo of them. And it's like, I think you people are just confusing yourselves more and more. How are you going to know what's real and what's not?
Well, right.
At some point. And I said, what are you people going to do? Like, if some kid wants to start to draw and become an artist, start to paint, I mean, how are you going to keep them in the waiting? How are you going to keep them patient enough to really get good at the skill? We're like, well, I'll just jump on my computer and say, hey, AI, make me a
Oh, look,
Bob Ross painting, and there it is.
Yeah, right.
It's done.
Look what I did.
Yeah.
No,
you didn't do anything.
Yes.
You just told someone else to do it.
Theoretically, if we were a, big church with a ton of money, which we're not, big church with a ton of money with a popular podcast, but, then maybe we could hire an editor per se to write our description or something. Well, we don't. Guess what? I put it in AI. But seriously, I'm saying theoretically, if we did have all this money and we had this budget for this podcast, hey, you have this much money to put towards an editor. Well, we don't have to, so then there's an editor that's not getting paid, but also
you're our editor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
But it saves us money. So it's not all bad, but I think most of the time it is.
Yep. Yeah. So we're just robbing ourselves of some of God's greatest gifts, the skills that he gives us, and the talent and the vision and all those things that we can do with the human mind, the things that he's given us. And
the thought
it's like, well, now we're just, we're going to be lazy.
Yeah.
We're not going to.
Lazier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, the workforce coming up is very lazy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
like you said, and it's just not this generation coming up, but it started way back. I don't know, because Linda worked at the grocery store. She worked in the office, and the girls would come in, and they would apply for a cashier's job, and they wanted this much money. They didn't want to work weekends. They didn't want to work nights, and they only wanted to work 8 to 11, and then lunch, and then be off at 2:00.
Yeah. When I managed the grocery store, there was nothing harder than making the schedule. You would sit there, which actually when I first started managing to save a long time ago, I was there with the office manager, and we were going to do my first schedule. And she's like, hold on a minute, let me get all my requests.
I remember
And she
doing that.
laid out all these little pieces of paper.
I went off,
and she lined them all up.
Time.
And like, okay, now we got to look at all these before we make that schedule. And I'm like, this is not going to work.
And then people would get mad at you because you have them closing
we can't make it
two Saturdays in a row or something. You're like, hey, I'm doing the best I can, but based on what I have.
But most time, before you'd hire them, they'd be like, oh, yeah, I can work weekends. I can work holiday. They're good for everything until
it comes time.
Until the time comes.
Yeah.
And then they have all these requests. The office manager would be killing herself trying to make a schedule.
Oh,
for
yeah.
cashiers because it was all.
No one wanted to be there on Saturday or anytime after.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, man, I want to say it took, and I think there were only 7 of us when I made my first schedule. I think probably 7. And that was like the one girl, she only did 6 hours a week. Like she could come in from 5 to 8 just to do stock. So that was easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had like 3 associates who would get like 5 to 10 hours. So you can kind of like just throw them in.
Plug them.
You know, yeah. But then you've got a full-time manager and a first assistant, which is what I became eventually. And it was like, okay, well, they have to have at least 35, but no more than 39.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what? And then you've got 2 other full-time managers, another part-time, and you're like, what do you do? You know, and God forbid if you have someone closing 2 Saturdays in a row and then she's going to go complain. Oh,
Yep.
man. Yeah.
Complain to everybody else first before she comes talking.
Yes. Yes. But she'll be late every shift.
Yeah.
By a half hour, but I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm
right.
like, oh, that
Yeah,
makes
you're
sense.
just-
Okay.
You're just supposed to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I just told somebody the other day, I said, there's nothing unchristian about telling somebody to do their duty,
Right.
to do
Right.
their work.
Yes.
There's nothing unchristian about it. But
Yep.
some people think there is. You know, like you're being mean, you know.
No, because then
No,
you're going to
there's nothing-
enable them.
This is what you're getting paid for.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm expecting
Yeah.
this of you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And really, I think it's a lot of these companies' own fault that they,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't run their businesses. They let just
Mhm.
unqualified young people
Mhm.
run their businesses.
Yeah.
It's just got to the point where, you know, the inmates have taken over the asylum.
Right.
Do whatever they want to do because you don't,
Yes.
you know, you don't
Yes.
have any rules. I mean,
Mhm.
like just even dress code. There's no rules for
Mhm.
dress code anymore. You don't know who's working there, who's not.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So I think in a lot of ways it's their own fault. You know, they've just totally let everything just get away from them for the sake of saving another dollar.
Yeah.
And now most people, when they, you know, you go into a Dollar General and you're like, did a bomb go off in here? You know, I can't even get down this aisle. Like there's just racks and racks and racks. Instead of putting the stock out on the shelf, they just wheel it out on the cart,
Yes.
leave it on the,
Yes.
and think, well, maybe if you can find it on that cart,
Yeah.
good luck.
Then yeah.
But that's the way it is anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You win.
When I started, no, there was, after a certain hour, there was nothing to be on that sales floor as far as working stock.
Mm-hmm.
You did not leave anything on the sales floor after a certain hour. In most stores, I know some stores still do. You do that at night.
Yeah.
So there's nothing on the floor
Mhm.
during business hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was just a certain point where like, okay, aisles are clear.
Yep.
Got to be ready to go.
Yep.
And now it's just, oh well.
It drives. I wish I could turn it off, but like when I'm in Texas Roadhouse, because I used to work there, or Maurice's, and I'm thinking, okay, I know what you need to be doing, or like I'll look at the racks,
You know.
and I'm like,
Yeah, you
you're
know.
not doing what you're
Yeah.
supposed to be doing.
That's kind of fun when you know. Like, I know your job, and you ain't doing it. You may kind of look like you're doing something.
Yep.
But yeah, I know what.
They would have to greet you like that. They would always have to within like 30 seconds, you know, like there's been times where I haven't even been greeted. I'm like, oh, which, you know, we've talked about this, like greet me, that's fine. But, you know, if I kind of brush you off, get the hint, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I mean, half the time they're not even greeting me. And I'm like, oh boy. And they can get secret shopped
Oh, sure.
and, you know, and they
Yeah.
just,
Yep.
I just don't know if they're to the point where they don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I just read that I think because all the Red Lobsters have been struggling,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the new owner, whatever, he was doing that. He was going into
Mm-hmm.
Red Lobsters, acting like a customer
Yeah.
to kind of see what
What was actually going
was
on?
up and
Uh-huh.
why these restaurants are struggling.
Was he a pleasant customer or an
I don't
angry
know.
customer?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he played
A
it
rude
both ways.
customer,
He probably played it both ways.
Yeah.
Made,
I don't know.
had some fun out
See
of
how-
it.
mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would probably do that too.
I
would do that on a regular basis if I
Uh-huh.
owned
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of businesses like that.
I'll never forget when I left there, I went to the dentist office, and the dentist office secret shopped me at Maurice's. So apparently they would call and see like, hey, is Sydney working today? Because they had my, application. And I told Maurice's, hey, I'm, looking for a different job. And this one week they're like, man, someone keeps calling, asking you. And I've started like asking for you. I'm like, did you like, who is it? They're like, I don't know. Well, we didn't
Tell your
have caller
boyfriend
ID.
to stop
Yeah, we didn't have caller
Caller
ID.
ID?
Yeah, no. So it's like, okay. Well, then they ended up coming in. It wasn't them. It was like, I don't know, a family member, someone. And they're like asking me like, yeah, I'm kind of looking for a swimsuit. I'm like, well, we unfortunately don't have swimsuits, and they didn't know that. But they're like, but you took it above and beyond because you're like, hey, we don't have them in store, but I can get this iPad and we can order you on, one online if you find one. But I think it was like 2 years after. I didn't find out until like 2 years after I got hired, and they told me one night. I'm like, oh my gosh, it all adds up now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But funny story. Yep.
Huh.
Anything else? No?
Nada.
Nada.
Psalms 37 says, "Be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for him to act."
Mm-hmm. I think that's like a very, not cliche, but you see that a lot, and I don't think people break it down a lot.
Right.
No.
Or actually read between the lines. Yeah. But that, I think it sums up a lot of what we talked about tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So
We stayed on topic pretty well.
we did. I think that's the second time without Michael that we've done that.
Uh-oh.
Hello.
Pastor Michael.
All right.
We're kidding. We miss you.
Yeah, he might not be here next week either.
Why? Are you just being sarcastic? You're kidding?
That was sarcasm.
Oh,
Don't tempt him.
I know. No,
he let the cat out of the bag and whoops.
I knew he wasn't going to be here tonight. Last night
No, aren't you special?
we went to Macbeth.
Oh no.
Bad.
We had.
Oh,
It's a good thing we didn't take the Tesla.
no room.
No room.
I can
There was no
imagine.
room in the inn.
I can imagine.
Yeah. We took the van, and there was just enough room in the van. Ay.
Mm-hmm. All right. Nick, you want to pray us out?
Lord, thank you for bringing us all together here tonight. I do want to send out a special prayer to all the families of 9/11 on this day.
Yes.
I just want you to continue to uplift them, be beside them. I'm sure many of those family members are, waiting to be with their loved ones again.
Yes.
And so they need your love today more now than
Right.
ever. We just hope and pray that each day you give us the confidence and the strength and the patience to wait on whatever it is that we're looking forward to, or whatever it is we feel that we need in our lives to be more successful or to be more closer to you. I pray that everyone makes it home safely this evening, and I pray that we can all meet back here again same time next week. Say all these things in your precious name. Amen.
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 Hey friends, Pastor Michael again. If you've enjoyed this podcast, you should consider joining us on Sunday mornings. Our address is 1943 North Water Street Extension in Yorksville. We'd love to have you join us for an in-person service.